Hey, you're listening to Fit Fun Kaz. I am Kaz. I lost 54 kilos and I have kept it off. Today's episode is episode 4, and we are talking mindset and the power of the mind. So let me take you on a journey. For those who've missed out, I lost 54 kilos after having 2 of my beautiful kids, and I have kept it off. But time after time, people have asked me, what is different about you? How did you do it? And that is a huge amount of weight to lose. And so I made it my mission to change my life, both inside and out. And I had this dream of sharing this story so that I could give so many people tips and tricks on how they could do the same. So today's episode, Mindset and the Power of Mind, is me sharing my mind, my strategies, and what I did to lose the weight. And also transforming my mind to be a greater and more stronger individual and to believe in herself and that she could achieve greatness. So my first tip today was seeing myself there. Seeing myself, and for those who listened to episode 3, fitting into that little black dress. That little black dress was a size 10, and she wanted to get there. She was going to try it on and go and lay by that dress, even though it was not going to fit her, and she might have been a size 14 at the time. But I made sure, right, it was on my vision board. I was going to achieve this. I was getting into that size 10 little black dress. So the visualization techniques that I taught myself along the way were some that I'd already had been taught. I was a competitive swimmer back in the day, and my dad taught me about playing through swimming and the swimming events and, the finals and the stroke and, diving into the pool. So I used that in my own weight loss journey. I visualized myself losing the weight. I visualized myself being there in that little black dress. And so for me to do that, I took a lot of photos. Now, a lot of people would think, there she goes, she's taking a photo again, but literally that was the process. And I'm so grateful I did, because it allows me to share the stories and show you the transformation. And that was also me being honest. I had to visualize myself to get there, but I also had to see myself for who I was there and then at any time, whether that be 111 kilos, whether that be at 90 kilos, 80, 70, 60. I made it. My lightest was 57.8 kilos. And that was absolutely my lightest and leanest, can I say. So what did I do to fit into the little black dress? Well, clearly I was in a calorie deficit and I trained 6 days a week. But what did I do with my mind to get there? So when I would go to sleep at night, there might have been things that I would say I'm grateful for, or there was visualization techniques that I could then look at to see myself of what I needed to do the next day to set myself up to have the best day I could. The other visualization technique was having the little black dress on my vision board and having a photo. It was actually Sarah Jessica Parker. Pretty sure it was Sex and the City. Huge fan. And I visualized myself being there, being in New York and being in that little black dress. There are so many cool stories that I will tell you that followed on from that years to come. But I visualized myself being there. I also visualized seeing myself as who I was and who I would be in that black dress. And so for me, I saw myself sharing this story. I saw myself on stage sharing the story, and I saw myself being an inspiration and being able to speak publicly with no fear, and also in the size 10 little black dress. Now, fast forward many years, do you think I achieved it? Absolutely. I was so grateful. I actually skipped past the size 10 dress, and the little black dress actually was an 8, almost a 6, but due to a corporate event, I thought, no, perhaps we need the length to be a little bit longer. So it was a little size 8 black, beautiful seed dress. And I got to MC an event in front of at least 300 people. And I had this moment, and I was walking across Queen Street Mall in Brisbane, and I went, oh God, I'm having this vision board moment. I am SJP and I am strutting myself into, on the inside though, absolutely scared. And I was about to go and do my first event of MCing that I had never done before. But so not only was I going to fit into a size 10, I also was going to live my dream in my career and my life at the same time. So this visualization technique absolutely took over. The size 10 dress became me. And I also made sure, the scales can tell you one thing. So the scales could tell you that you're, X amount of weight, 80 kilos, 70 kilos. We all know though, the scales can also be our best friend, and they can also mess with our minds as well. And so I also needed to make sure, I call it the field test or the lay-by test. I wanted to make sure I'd go into Myers in Brisbane or Sydney, wherever I was traveling, And I'd make sure I try on some dresses because I needed to make sure, how was I tracking? And again, you talk about the photos and the mirror. I had to make sure I was seeing myself in that mirror in this transformation. And let me tell you, there was times I didn't do that. And boy, did you then catch up when you finally then tried on those dresses or those clothes at that point in time, because I skipped sizes. And again, another awesome moment of tears, because all of a sudden I've gone from, my biggest was a size 20, size 18. And I knew I was going down in the 16s and 14s. So I almost felt like I skipped a size 12 and almost skipped the size 10. So I was jumping for joy, and these were huge celebration moments. So in your mind, as I'm losing this weight, the mind also has to play catch up. But during those times, I'll call that celebrating the small wins, because to celebrate those small wins meant so much more than just the weight on the scales. It was becoming me. It was giving me so much joy. And it was also allowing me to share this, with my beautiful people on Facebook and family and friends. And also, I guess, anyone that was in person. And my goodness, they got a rude shock when they saw me if they hadn't seen me for a while, because the voice was the same, but the person had changed. And she had changed, right? She wasn't the same person she used to be. And so the mind changed as well. So whenever I couldn't train, I always made sure I took it upon myself to train my mind. And I call it the mind gym. And there were times where I couldn't, whether it was injury, kids, so forth, travel with work. I still tried to get some steps in, though, if I traveled with work, and I made sure I had a gym, close by, or if not in the hotel. And I still made it my mission to exercise, but, days here or there. But I made sure then that I was absolutely training my mind, and I was doing the other concept and exercise that I was also getting very good at, which was meditation. So when I think about fitness and I think about my weight loss, not only was it eating in a calorie deficit and training 6 days a week, it was making sure I was sharpening my brain, but not to a point where it was like rigid, to a point where it found peace. And so I very much took it upon myself. I'm grateful I had a beautiful hypnotherapist meditation app, and his name's Andrew Johnson, and I'm forever grateful for him over in the UK. And I listened to him a lot, and even through COVID as well. I made sure I used an app called Get Fit and Lose Weight. I'd listen to that app, and it would practice visualization techniques on how to get fit and how to lose the weight and stop eating fattening foods. But not only did I do that, I learnt and taught myself, because again, the number one driver with all of this was I had to teach myself. I couldn't be dependent on things, people, apart from a gym and apart from, a positive mindset most of the time, and the beautiful, core people that I had around me, my beautiful husband, my kids, and my immediate family, and, small group of friends. I obviously have a lot of friends, but making sure I still had the core people around me that influenced me, that cared for me as much as I cared for them. And I'll tell you about a story in that in a minute. But I would make sure I would meditate, and that allowed me to have the most profound visualizations. And I guess I would feel things in meditation that I might not necessarily have done in my busy world outside of that. So I know that my mind got calmer, my stress levels reduced, and that had a huge knock-on effect to the weight loss as well, because it was thriving then. It wasn't fighting with itself on, doing fitness or eating the right foods. And when I say eating the right foods, and we will talk about this in other episodes, the mindset has a huge part to play. And so all of a sudden, you're starting to say no to things. You're starting to say no to foods. And when I say foods, starting to say no to the wrong type of foods for me. So sugar was that for me. I knew it did not serve me. Alcohol was another thing that I had to start saying no to. And that was the big bugbear of mine. Used to love drinking, still do, but I just know it's just not in my makeup anymore to have that every single weekend. And I know that it also then drove a more unhealthy side of me, and the hangovers and the junk food that came with it. And I also, just to be honest, I get really hungry when I drink. So I just know that whilst you're in or trying to be in a calorie deficit, for me, it drives the wrong behavior. It certainly made me have a great time. And I always, I'm never regretting any of those days because I loved it. But I know that if I want to be at my healthiest, I have to say no to things to enjoy myself and this life in the long term with my beautiful people around me. And so when we talk about the beautiful people around me, I also had to start very much, I was aware, and I do know that the mindset and the meditation plays a part of this. I knew the people that I was gravitating towards in a great way. And then I knew there were people still in my life that I still enjoyed being around, but it just wasn't the same anymore. And I really started picking up on, you call it vibrations or energies. I really did start picking up on that. And that became a really, whether it's a present focused gift that I got, but I was in tune with myself finally, and I could feel things that I hadn't felt before. And I knew what felt awesome, and I knew what felt genuine, and then I knew what didn't. And so that took me a long time to get to that point, by the way, guys, and I'm still testing myself on that. But I do, and I knew I always had these gut feels. I knew that I have a big heart, so I unfortunately didn't listen to it a lot of the time in my younger years, and bigger me, and you would get that head and heart conflict. And so when we talk mindset and we talk mind, I knew I had to listen to my gut. I knew I had to listen to my heart, and then they all worked in unison with the mind. And that, again, was another game changer for me, because that combined with the fitness, that combined with the food that I was eating, that gave me a huge amount of energy. It just fueled me. It made me so much more positive. It also, though, was changing my life for the better. And to do that, you have to say no. You got to say no to people in power as well. And for me, in my younger years growing up in a corporate life, that just wasn't a thing to do. You stood up for yourself, but you also had to be respectful as well. And so I just know that there were things, there were people, there were challenges put in my life and in the crossroad through and after transforming my life and losing this weight, that without that mindset, without that challenge, or without that meditation and quiet time, and I gave myself that. Some days I know I'd come home from work and I'd say to my husband, I just need to go and listen to Andrew Johnson for 20 minutes, please. And, he knew that was me going 20 minutes, recalibrating my brain because it had been that busy or whatever had happened that day. And then I'd come out a better person. And so fitness, going to the gym makes you feel good or sore all at once. And especially this time of year, there's a lot of people going back to the gym, but it's worth it. And it's the endorphin kick, and it also makes you grow in muscle and make you lose the weight. But the mindset and the mind gym, as I call it, that got me sharper, that got me stronger, but it got me more resilient and allowing me to be present and to be the best person I can be for me, for my kids and my husband and for those around me. And that was my why, remember? To be the role model for my kids, to be the best I can be for me. So the mind, the heart, the stomach, the gut feels, they all play a huge pivotal role. And when you get that mindset right, it all works in unison, and it allows you and directs you almost, even when you think you should be going down this path, the life and the universe, or whoever you believe in, guides you a certain way. And that's how I knew I couldn't ignore those gut feelings anymore. I had to go with this. And I knew, even right now, talking to you guys, I knew I had to do this. And if I was to tell you years ago, I would say, deep down, did I believe I could do this? No, there was blockers there. Absolutely. Did I have to absolutely work this? Magic? Did I have to overcome whatever those blockers were? Fear, self-belief systems, all of the above? Absolutely. That came down to the mindset. That came down to even igniting myself and refueling and going back to losing the weight, which then inspired me to deliver this podcast. So I had to tap into the old me, the 111 me, the one that was, niggling with the pain of trying to run up a hill, a 1K run test, or, pushing the double pran for the kids, or going and doing that body combat class at the gym, or going and doing the Spartan race because that was really hard. And again, they were all things, fitness. They sharpened your mind and they made you stronger. And that got me to who I am and where I am today. So when you're thinking about the mind, and when you're thinking, I know, I hear it. I hear people say I can't meditate. Please, I was there. I know I can speak lots, but I used to speak so much more and faster. And so the meditation slowed me down in the most authentic way. But again, as I have explained earlier, it also allowed me to be authentic, confident, see things for what they were, allowed me to be present, but also really what it does, it quietens and softens the world that we're in. It blocks out the noise and it promotes peace for you to allow you to live your dreams. And that's probably the best summary that I've got for this mindset episode. And that is, you find happiness. You do. And whether that's bit by bit, as I say, one foot in front of the other, one mindset challenge, one meditation app in front of the other. But that honestly and genuinely allowed me to be the best person I could be, both inside and out. And so when I got to the end of that finishing line of losing my weight and I got to, succeed in my vision and celebrating that weight, that was a huge journey in itself. And I just smile. I can feel it. I can remember it. I had goals that I had to achieve to celebrate those small wins. And that was 5 kilos, 10 kilos, 20. And then the goal weight. I promised myself I would get to go on a trip with my sisters and my friends to the Gold Coast. It was called 600 at the time. I was a huge V8 supercar fan. It's called supercars these days in Australia. And I got to absolutely have the best weekend. Mums out on the town enjoying, the Gold Coast and the 600 and the V8s. But that was my celebration of losing all of my weight. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful. The celebrations, right? That was a huge one. But having all of those small wins gets you to the finishing line of that success. And so for those who've done hard things, whether it be a marathon race, I said earlier, a Spartan race, that was probably up there in the most hard of categories for fitness. But even if it's, succeeding in university degrees or masters, or succeeding in your career, or having your dream life, or having your kids, or your beautiful dream family, and your home that you live in, or the car that you have, you got there because you allowed it to happen. You got there because you made it happen. You had mindset obstacles, you had mindset challenges, and you made it happen. And if it hasn't happened, that is okay. Sometimes things aren't meant to be, and sometimes things are definitely meant to be. And I've often found if I haven't gone with something and it's meant to be, it's always come back around into my path. And I often find it comes back even way more obvious than it ever has. So, by doing meditation, by doing the mindset, by allowing yourself to grow on the inside and giving yourself that peace and presence, it brings you joy, it brings you happiness, and it brings this thing called life and fulfillment. So I hope you've got an absolute lot out of today's episode. Today is mindset. I was talking about the black dress, the little black dress, and fitting into that, and the success that it brought me, and, the career and the knock-on effect that it had. The dream life, the meditation apps that I got to use, visualizing being there, visualizing succeeding and losing that weight. And how did it make me feel? How did it make me look? And what was it doing? It was making me happy. And it was tying back into my why. I am, I can, and I will. I am the role model for my kids, and I will succeed at this thing called life. And I am bringing this podcast to you, Fit Fun Kaz, this year. And I'm sharing so many stories because I have a greater good, a greater will to share these, so that there are people out there, if you're listening and you think it's not achievable, it is. And bit by bit, celebrating your small wins. Start somewhere. Find your why and think about the mindset. Download an app. Give yourself peace. Find box breathing. That was another great tip. But go to a place of love. Support yourself and believe in yourself, because you can and you will. So thank you so much, everyone. I am Fit Fun Kaz, bringing it live and loud this year. Thank you so much. Please share this beautiful story if it resonates with you. Please share my page. And I want to make sure that we raise the vibrations this year. We bring so much color, so much fun, and we bring this thing called life and bring happiness to one and all. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day and give it your best.